So the new Ratchet & Clank game came out, and I loved it. I loved the platforming. It easily had the best weapon selection in the entire franchise. I loved the new characters. One of the best ideas from one of the most obscure Ratchet games, Size Matters, was brought back in the form of armor customization. I love the graphics. It has the most smooth gameplay in the series by far, and it's the best reason to get a PS5 at the moment. However, as much as I love this game, it does have some problems that I would like to address in this video. Be warned, as I will be spoiling this game, and if you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch the rest of this video. So, without further ado, here are my top 5 problems with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. With this game being advertised as an intergalactic adventure, I was expecting Solana and Bergeaud to return. If you don't count the 2016 remake, Solana hasn't been seen since Secret Agent Clank on the PSP, and Bergeaud has only been one game. To be fair, it was the best game, and I'm obviously not counting cutscenes like the ending of Size Matters in Secret Agent Clank and in the beginning of Up Your Arsenal. I also thought that Bergeaud would return here. Megacorp signs are plastered everywhere, and I'm 90% sure that they're the main manufacturer in Rift Apart. Not only that, but Insomniac promised old favorites would return. What old favorites did we get? We got Sargasso, which was nice, Ardolus, which was also pretty decent, Torin 4, which, I mean, okay, it's a cool planet, I guess, but then you got Zordoom Prison, which, really? I would have loved to see places like Cortu, Uzla, Dobo, Orxon, and hell, maybe even some Deadlock planets like Kronos and Shar could have returned. This is the 8th main series game in a row, not counting the remake/movie game, where Polaris has returned, and all I'm saying is it's kind of getting old at this point. Building off of my last point, there's not a whole lot of planets, and you revisit planets a lot. You would revisit planets back in the old PS2 games, but it was rare, and even still, those games would often have a hefty 17 planets. This game only has about 10, and not only that, but only about 50% of the planets in this game are memorable. So, for the next game, let's have a little bit more, and make them a little bit more memorable. What do Sonic Mania, Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back, and Ratchet & Clank 2 all have in common other than they're all platformers? Well, other than the fact that they're the best games in their respective series and some of the greatest video games ever made, they all have rocking soundtracks. The first 4 Ratchet & Clank games, plus the PSP spin-offs and the first PS3 game, all had memorable soundtracks. Starting with A Crack in Time, however, the music definitely got blander, and they still had some decent tracks in this game, like the credits theme, but after that, the game music got so incredibly bland. Not every single track was bad post A Crack in Time, but a lot were forgettable. And I don't know why Insomniac refuses to use David Bergeaud's music, but they do, and the music has suffered ever since. The writing in the original 3 games was top-notch, and the writing in the Future Saga was pretty good too. While the original games were mostly comedic, it could occasionally get heartfelt, and while the Future Saga was heartfelt, it had its good jokes. But while the writing here was okay, it wasn't up to par with the other games in the series. There was only like 1 or 2 bits that made me laugh, and those were at the beginning of the game, and that was it. Seriously, Ratchet & Clank 3 was one of the funniest games I've ever played, and this game didn't make me laugh all that much. Another thing that bugged me was how much the character said thank you. Like, this galaxy doesn't feel cutthroat enough. It's a little too cutesy for a Ratchet & Clank game. Not only that, but the story felt too predictable. I knew where the game was going at every single turn. Now, before I get to my top pick, I'd like to bring up some other small issues that bugged me. One of the most fun extracurricular activities in previous titles has been totally botched in this game. I don't care for the arena here at all. The challenges are mostly bland, and it felt more like a chore to do them. When I saw Kit transform, I was so ready for the giant Clank sections to make a comeback after being absent since Size Matters. flight section in Secret Agent Clank, the Rhino 6 protosuit, and the fever dream that is full frontal assault does not count. But no, it was just a cock tease. I hated flying this thing around Sargasso. Its controls were obnoxious, and it was just an annoyance. And my number one problem with Rift Apart is... one of my favorite parts of the first two Ratchet & Clank games, especially the second game, was the strong enemy variety. You'd never fight the same boss twice, and every planet had unique enemies. Sure, some enemies repeated occasionally, like the Fireflies on Uzla repeated on Tabora, and factions such as the Blarg and the Thugs for Less were recurring villains throughout the first two games. That made sense, as they were important to the story, and even still, there was a whole bunch of different variants of those guys. Now, I'm not saying that the enemies in Rift Apart are not important, because they definitely are, but you're fighting nefarious goons, goons for hire lizards, and pirates the whole time, and the rare times when you're not fighting one of these three enemies, you're fighting recycled enemies from either Tools of Destruction or the 2016 reboot. Don't get me started on the recycled bosses. I must have fought the nefarious Juggernaut like 12 times in the entire game. Contrast this to the best game in the series, Ratchet & Clank 2, where you fight mutant squirrels, animal control, these Darth Vader-looking robots, violent pets, both Gadgetron and Megacorp had these, thugs, tribesmen, mutant warehouse guards, snow beasts, robots that you can hypnotize, swamp monsters, desert monsters, spider robots, and alien gladiators. This isn't really a fair comparison for Rift Apart. Now, after this video, please do not take this the wrong way. I love Rift Apart, and I can't wait for the next Ratchet & Clank game, but I do hope some of these problems get rectified in the next installment. Thanks for watching. This has been The Raccoonus Show, and if you like my content, please consider subscribing and tap the bell to stay up to date with all my new videos. Thanks for watching.